everybody, welcome back to another episode of Recreating John Frusciante's Tone. Today we're going to be talking about the title track of the Californication album. But before I get started, I think we all need a little bit of context. Now, a few months ago I did Otherside for one of my recreational videos. And in that video I explained having some trouble trying to get the right sound. Even though I used the same gear that John said he used. It's such a simple setup, right? There's a guitar, amplifier, cabinet, microphone, that's it. But if any one of those elements is wrong, there's a bigger margin for error when it comes to trying to recreate that sound. I have a Fender Showman like John used, a Gretsch Falcon, a JCM900 Cab, both the SM57, and a clone of the Neumann 87 microphone, going into the exact same preamp type and compressor that Jim Scott, the engineer for Californication, claimed to have used for the production of the album. And funny enough, I was actually trying to do this song for the Otherside video, but the tone was just way off, and I decided to do Otherside because I felt like it got a little bit closer. It was definitely better sounding than Californication, but it just still wasn't perfect. And while I tried to record that video, I mentioned that my biggest problem was miking up the speaker cab. No matter which way I decided to mic up the cab, the sound just wasn't right. And I even thought to myself that there was no way that John would have had a Gretsch White Falcon during the production of Californication. Because a few years prior, John's house unfortunately had an electrical fire, and John lost a lot of vintage gear, guitars, speakers, amplifiers, pedals. He lost a bunch of stuff, and anything that wasn't burnt down was either stolen days later when John moved out of the house because he needed a place to live, and unfortunately he got robbed of what little gear did survive. And we all know that John rejoined the band in 1998, but before they start recording the album Californication, John needs to gather some new gear. This includes guitars, amps, pedals, cabs, because he didn't have a lot at the time. And I also speculate in the Otherside video that John might have either had to buy, rent, or borrow any gear that he could in preparation for recording the new record. So it's the late 90s in California. Everybody and their mother's a guitar player. There's probably a few shops around that would have had the gear that John would have been looking for, specifically a JCM900 cab. Now, the cab that I used for Otherside is a B cab, but it does have the stock Celestion H.O.T 75 speakers from 1996. This cab was only made 2 years prior to the recording of Californication, so I figured it's my best bet in trying to get this sound, but I still feel like it could have been closer. And in 1998, the cabs that would have been available at the time would have been the same JCM900 cabs, either made from 97 or 98. Closer to 98, I'm just speculating here that giving the benefit of the doubt and just thinking of what would have been in any music store at the time that would have been available for John to purchase. Anyway, I put the video out and I explained that I wasn't really happy with the tone I was getting, even though I had the same pieces to the puzzle that we all speculate that John would have been using. Weeks go by, and this whole time I'm trying to do other songs from Californication using the same mic techniques, the same cabinet, different guitars, different settings on the Showman, and it was getting so frustrated because I just wasn't getting it. There was something missing. A big chunk of the sound that I wasn't getting. Anyway, weeks go by, lo and behold, I see an ad on Craigslist for a Marshall JCM900 cab listed for $400, and the most frustrating part about Craigslist ads is getting a hold of the damn seller. I emailed this person 3 or 4 times asking questions about when the cab was made, if there's a serial number in the back, I can date it. It's not too hard to do. If he could send me a photo, anything, because all he had was the front of the cab, and there's not much I can go off based on that. And then days go by. I'm talking maybe like a week and a half. I don't get a reply from this person because when you email somebody on Craigslist, they have to go through their account. It doesn't go to a personal email. Anyway, it's really frustrating and stressful because the whole time I'm thinking, oh, this is probably the cab I'm looking for. Hopefully something about this cab will help me out with these tone videos. And then I get an email of photos showing me the serial number next to the input jack, dating the cab from 1999, and I was really hoping it would be one from 97 to 98. I didn't want to get a cab that was built after Californication was made, for obvious reasons, for that cab and speakers to not have been a part or have even existed of being available for John to use at the time. But I figured, why not? Maybe I could use it for By the Way or Stadium Arcadium. So I emailed the guy again, hey, can I purchase this? When can we meet up? I have cash today. And again, days go by, and this whole time I'm thinking, oh god damn it, like I missed the sale, I waited too long, this guy already sold it, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get this cab in my hands. And then later I get another email, we exchange contact information, I pick it up, and the first thing I notice is that somebody removed the Tolex and sprayed it with some sort of acrylic black paint. It's a little sticky. I asked the guy about it, he didn't really know, he had bought it off somebody. And I was thinking, oh no, I don't need another project cab to work on. Anyway, I buy the cabinet, bring it back to the studio, open it up, and I find out that the speakers inside were dated from November of 1999, which is just about a year after the Californication album was recorded. I take it apart because I wasn't reading the correct ohmages? Ohmages? The ohms? That I should have been reading on my multimeter, and I have a whole studio vlog explaining why you want to be careful when buying used cabinets. I install a brand new jack plate in the back with new wires, thing works perfectly, and as I'm checking the speakers, I realize something different. Something very minuscule, but it's a topic that has been brought up with different speakers that people obsess over. And the thing I noticed was that the dust cover for the speaker cone on the 1999 cab was transparent compared to the other cabinets that I have behind me, which are the same model, but they're made a little bit different. And that's when I had this weird light bulb moment go off in my head, because I have been watching a lot of videos about Celestion speakers from some of my favorite YouTubers. I'm sure it's the same videos that all of you have seen. I find it very fascinating the different tones you get from different speaker models. But there's some speakers that were made a little bit differently throughout the years. One of those being the vintage 30. Now there's a lot of people who believe that the holy grail of metal tone comes from vintage 30s that were made from late 2000 to about early 2004. And the vintage 30 is one of the speakers that has been around as long as the H.O.T 75. I believe they came out around the same year, like late 80s. And in one of the videos I saw was the reason why the vintage 30s from the early 2000s sound a little bit better from earlier ones, and even especially later ones, is because the dust cap was also transparent like the ones I have in my 1999 cab. Alright guys, this is what I'm talking about when I say the dust cap is transparent. You can see the back of the magnet, that light circle in the middle. See, the dust cap goes around here. But when we look at my 91 cab, you don't see anything. It's just dark because the dust cap, it's not as transparent. It's a thicker material compared to this guy. Even my 96 is like this. I'm shining a light on it. But here's the bottom portion. The other ones you can't see that gray circle in the middle. The H.O.T 75 speaker is one of the most sold speaker that Celestion's ever made. So there's bound to be a couple of differences between different years. So I tried to do a little bit more research on the different dust caps for the H.O.T 75 speaker, and I found nothing. And the only thing I did find was a sold listing of a Marshall JCM900 cab made from 1998 with the same speakers with the same transparent dust cap. And it's probably one of the speaker cabs that he would have had to use. So if there was a chance that John did had to go buy a brand new cabinet to go record with the Chili Peppers, it would have had to have been a cab made in the same year of 1998. So I instantly stopped what I was doing, connected the Showman to the cab, mic'd it up, plugged in my Gretsch, loaded up my recording interface, and I got so close. So close, in fact, that I just quickly threw down a demo, and I knew I had to make a video for you guys. And I was a lot more happier with this tone than the one I got for Otherside. I'm not saying that the Otherside tone is bad, it's just not right. It's not as close as the tone I'm getting from this cab. And it was getting frustrating because for the last year I've been trying every single one of my cabs. I have a few different quads of 75 speakers and it just wasn't getting close. For some songs, yes. But for Californication, there's only so many factors that I had to consider, and the last thing I was considering was the speaker. And it's not that I wasn't looking for a solution to the problem I had, I just could not find a cabinet made in the late 90s. And for some reason, everybody in Arizona does not have a JCM900 cab made no later than 1993. I have found plenty of sets from 91, 92, 93, and I believe the 96 one that I bought was the latest from the late 90s that I could find locally. Everything else was either earlier than that or no earlier than 2003. And it was really hard for a long time to find the correct cab from the right era, but I found one and I was able to get it, and I think I'm making huge progress. I do have to mention that I did use some EQ, not only on the preamps, but as I was mixing my guitar tracks, which makes sense because if you've listened to the demos that the Chili Peppers recorded for the album Californication, it definitely does not sound anything like the album. Like, you can listen to Scar Tissue, the demo, versus the end product, and it's completely different. It even sounds like it could have been two completely different cabs. It's definitely not all the way there. It could be something to do with like the pickups not being voiced as accurately as they are mentioned to be. And for some reason I could not get the D string in tune. So that's why it's a little different from the original track. But I was just too excited to put something out as soon as I found out. Because like I said, I think it's a huge leap in progress. And I'm very happy that I bought the cab because it's going to be so much more helpful from here on out. It'll make things a lot easier, and I feel like it's definitely one less thing I gotta worry about. And to prove my point, I'm gonna do a few sound bites so that you guys can hear the different cabs and how they sound compared to each other. But like, I've been actively searching, trying to find something, and I think I found it. Anyway, I know it's been a long time since I posted a video. Very sorry. But the responsibilities of being an adult catch up to you pretty quickly. Right now I'm in a good spot. I don't want to jinx myself, knock on wood. But I know this will definitely be the last video of the year. The next few weeks are going to be really busy for me at work. But I'm going to try to post as much as I can for you guys because I really like making these videos. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, what I should do next, and what else you'd like to see on the channel. And until then guys, everybody, happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next year. Later.